5 natural ways to make a man fear losing you. Now, here's the thing. We actually want a man to have some healthy fear of losing you from his life, because if he doesn't have that fear, that means he simply doesn't value you. We want a man to value you, to prioritize you, and to treat you like a queen, to treasure your heart because you are a treasure. So that's what we're going to be going deeper into in this training here. And I have some very special surprises for you, some things that are probably going to blow your mind in some way. So I'm excited to go into it with you. And I'm Brody Boyd, if you don't know me already, and for over 20 years combined with my wife, Antia, we've been helping thousands of successful women all over the world to get a loving, long-term, and committed relationship with a man they desire fast. So let's go ahead and start the party right now. So the fifth natural way, in alignment with your essence to make a man fear losing you, is to get into the positive love and respect cycle with him. Now, what this means is masculine energy craves respect, feminine energy craves love. These are some of the biggest cravings of the feminine core versus the masculine core. So your man, if he's a healthy man, if he's not a deeply broken man, and if he has any connection to his masculine core, one of the most important things to him in his life, and especially in your relationship, is to feel that you respect him. Respect can involve admiration. It can involve honoring him. It can involve revering him, trusting him, valuing him as a man. And when you do that to him unconditionally to start, which we have a process for this, so don't freak out yet. There's a 90-day process that we recommend for you to start building up to that and showing him that respect. If it's a man you really like and you want to have a long-term committed relationship with, and he's not a deeply broken man that is abusive or you feel unsafe with, you can begin the process of being vulnerable with him and starting to show unconditional respect to him in different ways that revere him, that make him feel like your hero. And then he will actually start to step into that role. And when he steps into that role, when he is activated within his masculine core, his natural response is to want to start to show love, care, adoration, and devotion for you, to make you happy. It's a natural byproduct. Just as, for example, if a man is unconditionally loving towards you and caring towards you and devotional towards you, your natural response to that is probably going to be to want to respect him, to want to value him, to want to trust him. And so we have this dynamic between the opposite energies, the masculine, feminine, which the law of polarity states, opposite energies attract, masculine energy attracts feminine energy. When you embrace the feminine aspect, you wake up the masculine aspect, and it looks just like this. You get into the positive love and respect cycle where your respect starts to activate his love, and you start to get into this upward spiral where now your relationship with him is starting to become better and better and better and more devotional and more devotional and more devotional, rather than getting worse and worse and worse and worse, where you're disrespecting him and he's pulling away his love from you, and then you disrespect him more because of that, and he pulls away more of his love from you, and you get this negative cycle, this downward spiral with a man. We want to avoid that because that's going to be very painful and probably an area you've been familiar with up in this point, because most couples don't understand these principles, unfortunately, and they end up making each other miserable in different ways. And that's why we have such a high divorce rate as well, because so many men and so many women don't actually understand this concept. And the beautiful thing about it is we only need to shift one of you. If we can shift you into becoming more unconditionally respectful towards your healthy man, he's going to start naturally becoming more loving and devotional for you. Of course, if he was here and we were helping him become more loving and devotional, you will then naturally want to be more respecting and trusting and honoring towards him, hopefully. And if he doesn't, then that's probably a sign of a broken man. And we have a process for that, how you uncover if your man is broken so that you can eventually walk away. And especially if you ever feel unsafe or you're in a situation that's abusive, you don't need to do this. You can actually just walk away now with your man. But if you really like him, and if there's an opportunity for him being a healthy man, that he's not completely broken, he's not a deep-seated narcissist, sociopath, avoidant attachment style, he may have some of that, some aspects of that, just as you may have some aspects of that on your side. Maybe you're also an insecure attachment in different ways, have wounds. We all have wounds from childhood. So it's a question of how much is he able to bypass that? How much is he able to step into his role as a healthy man for you? And that's why we have the 90-day challenge. That's where you give him a taste of that. You give him a chance to really embody his hero, protector, provider for you in the relationship, and it will be activated by you. Having you here now, we can shift your relationship with him. So that is a very powerful concept. Now, the next one, the next natural way to make him fear losing you, number 4, is to accept him fully for who he is. So just like we talked about how disrespect is one of the biggest pain points for a man in a relationship, and one of the biggest reasons why men end up leaving relationships with normally good women is because they feel disrespected in subtle ways and in bigger ways. And one of those ways is by you not accepting him fully for who he is now. Yes, he's not perfect. We're all not perfect. We're perfectly imperfect, and that's a beautiful thing. And if you're looking at him and seeing only what you want him to be, and you're trying to change him, and you're disappointed, you're seeing his flaws, and you're interacting with him from his flaws and pointing those out and criticizing him, nagging him, trying to lead him, trying to control him, trying to manipulate him, trying to change him, or trying to mother him or help him in some way, that is fundamentally disrespectful to his masculine core. And a man is either going to pull away from you because of that, he's going to argue and fight you because of that, or he's going to become a shell of a man and simply submit to your masculine leadership and move into his feminine energy. And now all of a sudden you're fully in a relationship where you're the mommy, he's the little child, you're the strong one, he's the helpless one, you're the boss, he's the employee type of dynamic, you're the therapist, he's the patient, you're the nurse. You know, that could be sexy in different ways, but not in that context. Now you have a problem. And a lot of this stems from simply not accepting him for who he is. And it's a powerful exercise for you to imagine your man, picture him in your mind, the man that you're interested in now, or perhaps in a relationship with or married to. Picture him in your mind and imagine to yourself accepting him fully for who he is now, that he will never change. He's not going to change, and that's okay, potentially, or not. If that's not okay with you, then you may be in a situation where you need to start looking at walking away. Ideally, before you walk away, you'll use our magnetic feminine polarity principles and our magnetic feminine communication. You'll do the 90-day challenge, and you'll give your relationship a real shot to shift, which will help you with and walk you through step by step. But if he doesn't change, would you be okay with that? Now, a lot of women will say, no, I by no means would be okay with that. And that's okay. It's okay to not be okay right now. But in the process of healing and actually improving your relationship and actually paradoxically getting him to change is starting with you accepting him with who he is, which is respectful. It is showing trust towards him. It is showing honoring towards him and admiration and reverence even for who he is. The flaws in everything, but especially the good parts. You could start to look at the good parts in him. So see the whole package. Don't just focus on his flaws. So you're looking at him through, brown-colored glasses, but start to look at him through clear glasses, not rose-colored, not brown-colored, just normal glasses, looking at him, who he is as a man, accepting flaws in everything. And then from that place, you can start to show him all the different elements of your feminine energy, the longings of your heart, your openness, your vulnerability, your respectfulness, and that can start to shift him. That can start to shift him to want to become a better man for you. And if you want to take that to the next level, it's not only accepting him for who he is, but starting to see the superhero that lives within him. Seeing that strong man, that provider, protector, hero for you, the man who's capable of doing anything he wants to, achieving any goal that he has, killing the bad guys, making things happen, moving your relationship forward, providing in all the different ways that you have desires in your life. See that version of him, accept that version of him into your life, and interact with him from that place. Now you're actually manifesting, you are actually inspiring him and creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of your man becoming who you actually want him to be, but not because you tried to change him, simply because you accepted him for who he is, flaws and everything. You even accepted that he's not going to change. You detached from the outcome, and now you get to interact with him as the hero, and treating him like a hero through things like appreciation, admiration statements, asking him for help, assuming that he does want to help you, assuming that he will help you. And you could still observe his behavior. And if he's not stepping into that role, and if you have real issues in your relationship, you need to have a magnetic feminine conversation with him and share your heart and share your feelings in a way, in a feminine way, that allows him to understand the issue, because you made it about yourself and you made it about what you're going through, which is feminine. And then he can choose to be inspired. If he should choose it, is to be inspired into his masculine, to want to change himself on his own, to want to fix it on his own, because he wants to now. He doesn't feel like he has to. There's a big distinction with that. And also because you're not attached to it anymore. You want it, but you're not attached to it. You've let it go. You've forgiven him. You've accepted him. And those energetic ties are no longer clinging to him and trying to control him. Now he's a free man that can be strong and empowered and a leader for you because he wants to. So it's a very powerful principle. Before we get into the next one here, if you haven't yet, I highly recommend taking our free love quiz to get a loving, long-term, and committed relationship with the man you desire by clicking the link in the description or comments below, where we can customize all of this for you, take your relationship to the next level, give you the most powerful recommendations to get personal coaching for your specific situation as well. So make sure to take that. Click the link below or go to our website, magnetizeyourman.com, which you can get that today, right now, when you go there. Highly recommend. All right, the next powerful principle to help you on this journey is to know how to process your emotions when needed. So this is the third key to make a man fear losing you, really, because he's starting to value you and cherish you and be drawn to you in all the different ways. So know how to process your emotions when needed in a healthy way. There's a couple ways to regulate your emotions constructively rather than destructively. One of the big ones that I recommend, me and my wife went to a retreat years ago in San Diego area, and we were learning there principles of somatic work. So how you actually use your body to heal things and to release things and to grow as a person, to become more open, more free. And one of the processes is called a release session, or as we call it, an awakening session or an expression session, where you actually release the emotions. So whatever it is you're feeling now, that's quote unquote a negative emotion, such as fear, anxiety, grief, pain, hurt from your man or from anything in your life, let yourself express it. So animals do this naturally. When an animal has a trauma and it was almost killed by a cheetah or something, but it escaped, the animal will then shake it off. It naturally will shudder. You'll see deer do this, and all kinds of animals will do this after a traumatic experience. They shake their bodies, they shudder, and then it's gone. Then the trauma is released, and they move on because they process the emotions, and they go about their life. And they make sure they don't get into the sights of a cheetah again, hopefully. Now, you can use this also as a woman and as a human. When you have these strong emotional triggers coming up for you based on pains or current events that are causing you strong emotions, the easy way to do this, jump onto your bed, put your face into a pillow and start screaming or crying or yelling or cussing, whatever you need to do to let that emotion out, whether it's anger, grief, sadness, frustration, fear, etc. Let that emotion out, and then shake your body as well. Let your body express it. Let the emotion move through you. And this is an easy way to do it because you're less likely to do any damage to somebody. You can scream quietly into a pillow, or you can scream loudly into a pillow, depending on your living situation. You could also do this in the car. Or my personal favorite, what I used to do after my first breakup, when I was processing a lot of depression, a lot of grief and frustration, I would go out in nature. I would go out into the woods in Oregon, where I was living at the time. I grew up there, and I would start yelling. I'd go far out into the woods where nobody would really hear me or see me, and I would start yelling, throwing tree branches, punching the air, punching leaves. I would just, let my wild man out and just express fully what was going on for me. And then after I did that, I felt a lot better. And you will probably feel a lot better as well when you actually express it. There's some places in most major cities called rage rooms where you could also do this in a different format, where you can actually go in and smash things with a hammer. Smash TVs, computers, tables. You get like a sledgehammer. They have some other things you can use, and you're letting out your rage or your fear, your anger, your grief, processing it through your body. And then once you're done with either of these ways that you processed it, you can then fill yourself up with positive energy, positive emotions. I love myself. I'm amazing. This would be for you. I'm a queen. I'm a goddess. I'm perfect. I'm perfectly imperfect. I love myself. Might have said that already. Any man would be lucky to be with me. I'm the gift. I'm the treasure. I'm a feminine, magnetic, powerful woman, a loving woman, a cherished woman. So whatever those affirmations are that lift you up, that fill your heart, you can use those after this, because now you're like emptied out and you're refilling with the joy, with the bliss, with the positivity and the future potential that is within you. So that's a really powerful process. The last one I'll give you here, another technique you can use, is if you are really upset at somebody, your boyfriend, your husband, your family member, your friend, your boss, write them a nasty letter. Write them a nasty, nasty letter or an email, and make it as nasty as you can and as mean as you can, and just be authentic. Be true to yourself of what you actually want to say to them. What would make you feel really good to get it off your chest and tell them about all the judgments you have towards them and all the things you dislike about them and hate about them that makes you really mad or angry or sad, and write it out, and then don't send it. Please don't send it. Make sure you actually don't send it. Like don't put their email into the email. Just write it out and just don't even put their name in the email or their email address in there, so it doesn't accidentally get sent. Because you may actually be tempted to want to send it. You may feel like, well, this is actually really good, and this is something I haven't said before, but I need to say. Now, a lot of these things you actually can share with him, and you should share with him, but you want to do it in the right way. You want to use magnetic feminine communication. You want us to help you with that, ideally, so that you don't push him away or make him feel disrespected, upset, criticized, blamed, shamed, emasculated, etc., which is just going to put him into his feminine or make him want to leave the relationship. But there can be a lot of value in actually processing those thoughts and feelings for yourself through writing. Sometimes you could also do this through like a voice recorder, or you can just talk to yourself out loud, journal on a notepad, whatever works for you. Write it all out, and that can be a way of emotional regulation, processing, to help you go through the emotions like you were doing on the bed, screaming it out, so that you can then be cleared and release them and be free to move forward in your life in a much more powerful way. So hope that was helpful. The next natural way to make him fear losing you is to sing and dance into his heart. Singing and dancing are some of the most powerful feminine expressions, because they are you radiating the yearnings and longings of your heart to the universe. It is a feminine openness and a message that is sent out to the world emotionally when a woman is singing and dancing, because your feminine energy lives in your heart, and your feminine energy is expressed through your emotions, your feelings, the feelings in your body, in your gut, in your womb, in your heart. All of those sensations are your feminine energy, and when you open your heart and you are vulnerable and you let those out, it's a beautiful gift to the world if you do it in the right way, if you do it in a respectful way. So you have some guidelines around it that we teach you, because we talked about how important that is. So you're not whacking a man on the head with your emotions, unless they're positive emotions, then that may be okay, and saying, I'm here for you, I appreciate you, I love you, and I care about you. And yeah, so those are really amazing ways to express those feelings to him through the song and the dance. One second here, I have to take care of something. All right, so when you can sing and dance, even if you're not good at it, even if you're horrible at it, in fact, it's not about that. It's about allowing a man to feel your heart in different ways. So you can do it subtly. You can practice to begin just with yourself, and you could also practice in your car, around people, when you're in public, even humming, if you're just humming, if you are singing in the shower, singing while you're walking in nature. And I want to show you an image here. I can't show you the video due to copyright reasons, but you notice this principle playing out in a lot of Disney movies and the archetypal stories of the woman singing out the longings of her heart, her desires, where she's at. And in this scene in particular, Once Upon a Dream with Sleeping Beauty, you notice after she's singing, the Prince Charming, the man, enters the scene and actually sees her and witnesses her in her feminine yearning, in her openness, in her desire. And he's very attracted to that. He's very drawn into it. And so there's a powerful energy that happens when you are in that expressive mood and that mode. Another Disney movie, speaking of, that you're all probably familiar with is Ariel and the Little Mermaid. Now, this story is powerful because it specifically is about the voice and about singing as a powerful force of love, really, in the story. Because what happens, if you know the story, is Ariel ends up having her voice stolen away, her beautiful voice and her singing and her song is stolen away from her. She really gives it away in a stupid exchange, but because she felt that's what she needed to do for her next part of her journey, that's what she did, and she lost her voice. And before that happened, actually, we'll go back here. Before she gave away her voice, she had actually rescued her Prince Charming, Eric. She had rescued him off a boat and was singing to him when he was on the shore. Maybe I can't remember if that was her attempt to try to bring him to life or just because that was what her heart wanted to do in that moment. And he actually woke up and remembered her singing and saw that image of her briefly when she was jumping back into the ocean. And the singing was what captivated him. The singing was what left an imprint on his heart that he could not shake. He could not get rid of it. He wanted to have it back in his life. And so, as the story continued, she came back to him. She got legs and sold her voice for legs, got on shore, and was able to court him. But he didn't know it was her. He was still in his mind wondering, where was this amazing creature who sang to me? It was a creature, technically, a mermaid, who sang to me. I need to find her. This girl's nice. I like this girl, but where's that special woman? And actually, it was Ursula who came back with Ariel's singing voice and confused him because he said, I fell in love with the voice. And this woman here has this beautiful voice that I fell in love with. But then there's also this woman here. And so he was confused because he was so captivated by the voice, by the song, her feminine yearning. And he could not get it out of his mind and out of his heart until eventually he was able to connect the dots and found out that it was Ariel and it was her voice. And she got back her voice, of course, and then they lived happily ever after. But the point of it is the power of your voice and the power of your feminine expression, which another key with that is dancing. So dancing by yourself, moving your body. Again, think of it as you letting your feminine energy out, that joy, that longing that you might feel. And of course, when you're listening to or singing positive songs with positive lyrics, I would not recommend doing this with just a bunch of Taylor Swift songs complaining about your exes, but or there's a lot of breakup songs, country songs as well. Find a positive song. I like Happy by Will Ferrell, or other songs that light you up, that give you that joy, that make you want to actually sing and dance in a positive way, in a open and yearning way. Find those and express it to yourself first and foremost, privately, but then you can also do some of that with him. And my wife, in fact, she did this a lot when we were first dating and still does it occasionally to this day, where she will go into a spontaneous dance or spontaneous singing when she's excited about something or something happens. And she calls it the happy hippo dance. And she'll just start jumping around and she'll sing some of her German songs that she knows that I don't know the lyrics of. But it was always really endearing to me. And one of the big reasons why I fell in love with her, I think, is because she was able to be so open and playful and communicative of her feminine energy through her body, not just through her words, but she was able to really express it that way. So I really recommend using that as a practice for yourself. And then the fifth natural way to make him fear losing you is to embrace your inner childlike nature, not your childish nature. So there's a lot of magnetism and power in embracing your inner child, the childlike nature within you, the playful nature, the open nature, the part of you that's curious and expressive and wanting to be free and jump around, sort of very similar to what we talked about with the singing and dancing. So I want you to imagine actually children and how you were as a child and how they naturally want to express themselves, play, have fun, be curious. They're really good at speaking up, and that's one of the keys, which is the difference between a childlike nature and the childish nature. Is a man actually wants you to be playful. He wants you to be open. He wants you to embrace all those parts inside of yourself, your feminine core, and do it in a respectful way. That's the big key we talked about, a big theme through this as well. So that's where it can move into being childish, is when you use that to actually attack him. Just like a child throwing a temper tantrum, or a child saying, Mommy, I want that. Mommy, I want that. Do this for me. So I have a 3-year-old daughter right now. She's 3. And I've been learning this and becoming very attuned to it, the difference between childlike and childish, and where children will have that ability to draw you in and make you almost mesmerized by how open they are and curious and joyful and expressive. But then there also can be moments where children will move into the unknowingly being disrespectful, being rude, being demanding, controlling, all those things. Give that to me. I know, get away, do this, do that. So you want to watch that with your man, because it's a very important distinction that will either draw him in or push him away. But we want to first start by just getting in touch with that energy within yourself so that you can learn, maybe look at some old photos of yourself when you were a child, reconnect with her, remember her, think about how she was, think about the things you love to do, the things that brought you joy, the energy you had. If you can, watch old videos if you have any videos of yourself as a child, or listen to stories of your parents on what you were like and what you did and what things really they loved, they thought were so cute, so endearing that you did when you were a child. And that could help you to reconnect with her, to bring it out in your relationships and create more of that magnetism, because you're becoming a whole woman. You're having all parts of yourself now fully integrated so the man can feel you on all those different levels of who you are and the personality and the completeness of your uniqueness. So I hope that is helpful to you as well. And so now we're going to go ahead and answer some questions here. So I see a lot of them coming in, so I'm going to answer some. And someone said, are you talking about if you're in a full relationship already? It can be, but many of these principles, almost all of them, are relevant and powerful and just as important whether you just met a man, you're on a first date, or whether you've been married to him for 10 years. Because what we're teaching you here is male psychology, female psychology, masculine, feminine dynamics and polarity, communication, and self-improvement. And all of these principles will be expressed in all of those stages of a relationship, because you're learning here, and what we're teaching you is how to draw a man in, how to make him magnetize to you, which is why our brand is Magnetize Your Man, how to make him drawn in by you to such a level that he could even obsess about you because he cares so much. He wants you to be his, he wants you to be happy, and he can't stop thinking about you or the relationship. It just brings him so much joy and so much of his own masculine purpose that he's become deeply ingrained in you, in your life and in your relationship together. And it's something that he would fear losing from his life. Again, going back to the title of the video here, making a man desire you and want you and love you to such an extent that he would be distraught. He would be completely heartbroken if he were to lose you from his life. Like, that's what we're teaching you here, because that's where you get the love and the devotion and the care and the prioritization from a man that you really want. And it's all powerful and it's relevant regardless of what stage you're in, because you can start activating his masculine core and having him see you as the woman he wants to be with for the short term or for the long term, but mostly for the long term, because it's really both. He just wants you. He wants you bad. I want it. What's the song? You want it bad. You don't even know. Dun, 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 dun. It's an Usher song. I can't remember. Oh, you got it bad, and you don't even know. I have to bring in at least one song to every video here because people seem to like it. So there you go. And so then she said, also, I wonder if it's different with British men. LOL, I do like these videos, thank you. There's some cultural differences, but what we're teaching you here is programmed into every man's DNA. We're teaching you how to talk to a man and interact to a man, with a man, to his masculine core. So whether a man's from Britain or Nigeria or China, wherever he's from, whatever the cultural background, men are still men in a deep level, they're very similar, almost identical in our core DNA. And those aspects will be activated when you use what we're teaching here, because you trigger those instincts. You trigger that in his DNA to be a protector, provider, hero for you when you embrace those things. So it will work regardless of culture. There will be some cultural differences, and it can also be helpful to get coaching and support around that to customize things with your specific situation, like we do with our quiz and in our coaching groups. But it will work. It's just a question of, do we have to slightly soften it a little bit, or can we go a little bit more into your feminine? And how do you communicate things in the right way? Because we have a lot of women who join our programs as well who are not native English speakers. And so we help them to really learn how to communicate to a man in the right way, with the right words, the right framing, because it is like you're learning a new language here. You're learning a new dance, and it takes some time to learn the steps and to get it right. But once you learn it, it becomes fluent, and you can just enjoy yourself, and it's easy and effortless because now you're actually living from your core self. We're not changing who you are. We're bringing you back to who you really are at your core, your feminine instinct, so that you can express your heart in a full, natural, joyful way with a little bit of guidelines around it, and have a man be just completely drawn into you because he can feel that feminine heart inside of you. And then she said, it doesn't matter the man or woman, it's about edifying each other. We can make it happen. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, really, men and women do want to be loved and respected, but masculine energy craves more of the respect and the trust, and feminine energy tends to crave more the adoration, the love, and the devotion. So if we can give him exactly what he wants, he's going to want to give you more of exactly what you want from the opposite energy, just like in that graph we showed earlier. From his energy, from his masculine gifts, he's going to want to make you happy, and you're making him happy with your feminine gifts. And now you have this beautiful dance. You have this connection that is timeless because you've embraced the natural wiring inside of you that God gave you and that God gave him to be really making each other happy to the fullest level that's humanly possible, which comes from polarity. So it's a beautiful, beautiful process. And ultimately what we're helping you to do here is become your truest version of yourself, your golden self. And that's the ultimate treasure that you get from this process, is who you're becoming, rather than what you're doing or what your man says or if he does this or does that. When you become this woman, it becomes natural, it becomes effortless, and not only is the man drawn to you, but all good things in your life start to come to you, and life becomes simple, fun, and easy because you're no longer going against the grain. You're not pushing the train uphill. You're actually in alignment with nature, and you're flowing with nature, and then you get to just slip down the water slide into the pool and grab your pina colada, because now life becomes simple, fun, and easy for you, where before it was hard, challenging, complicated. And that's how it is, unfortunately, for a lot of people out there, a lot of women, especially in our modern times. It's not easy for a lot of people out there, but we're helping you to make it easy, because it's totally possible once you learn this, and life will become much more enjoyable for you. And then Sonyak said, yes, I've used my notes app instead of email to escape the accidental send. Yeah, when you're sending those letters and rewriting them out, you might want to use something like that so it doesn't accidentally, perchance, slip into his inbox when it's a nasty email or a nasty letter, because we may want to polish it a little bit. There's a lot of things you can say, but we want to use feminine communication when you do it, because there's a process that will allow him to then feel what your heart is really saying, and so that he doesn't feel blamed, criticized, attacked, and instead feels empathy and wants to help you because of how you shared it. There's no ugly emotions. That's a great reminder for everyone here. There's no ugly emotions within you. There's only ugly behaviors. Behaviors will push him away if they're the wrong behaviors, because you're trying to lead him, control him, change him, mother him, etc. But your heart is actually what he wants. He wants the emotions. He wants the feelings. He wants the whole spectrum of who you are shared in the right way and expressed in the right way, which is actually coming from your core. Because a lot of the disrespectful behavior in the masculine energy is typically coming from a wound. It's an attachment wound, or a wound that happened from your childhood where you didn't feel good enough, or you didn't feel seen or loved. And now you have a protective mechanism that is preempting him and trying to anticipate his next move and trying to get a one-up on him and get power and control over him, because you don't feel safe to just be vulnerable and exposed in your heart with that man. Now, of course, if a man is deeply broken and he's not safe for you, if he's physically, mentally, emotionally abusive, you need to get out of a situation right away. But if he's not a deeply broken man, one of the 5 to 15% of men that are out there that you want to watch out for, he will start to shift into his healthy masculine. You want to use our 90-day challenge, which will help you with, give it some time, but then he will start to shift and show you love, likely if he is a healthy man. And then you'll have a loving, long-term committed relationship for the rest of your life. You just have to go through the steps, go through the process, and become the queen. Rebecca said, I did the email I didn't send a few months ago, and it actually really, really helped. Yeah, that's great. Glad to hear that, because it can be a powerful way to vent. And sometimes also you can do this with girlfriends, but you want to be careful, because if word gets around to him, that can also become a form of disrespect, of like airing out your dirty laundry with all of your friends and all your family, and now making him look like the bad guy. Because typically when you're venting to friends and family, they want you to be happy. They're looking out for you. And oftentimes it's not going to be very balanced with all the things that he might be doing that you actually like, that you're grateful for, and that are showing care and love for you, but you're just telling them about the frustrations. Typically you're venting because you need that release, and now they're getting a skewed version of your relationship and a skewed version of him, where they're like, you should just leave this guy, you should just get out. But it's because of the way, the nature of the venting. So I would be cautious with that, and instead, before you vent fully to friends and family, because of course you can do it, you want to try to do it in the most respectful way you can, and balance it out with also the things he's doing good, so they don't get a skewed version and it doesn't get back to him, ideally, because that can really cause a lot of issues in the relationship. He could feel deeply disrespected and hurt by that potentially. But if you vent it out first in an email or your journal, or you do an expression session we talked about before, that could be a lot healthier way to do it before you then go to other people. And even within that process, you could also share a lot of the same things with him. You just want to vent all the really bad, angry stuff out first that would be like trying to do damage to him and trying to get back at him. There's an image that always stuck in my mind when I was learning dating in my early 20s and studying all the books I could on these principles in these areas. It's called the wounded animal. And so when somebody gets rejected, or they feel unloved or uncared for or unseen, they tend to become like a wounded animal. And what does a wounded animal do? A wounded animal wants to lash out, and it wants to bite and hurt the person that hurt them. And so you don't want to be the wounded animal, because that typically will not draw a person in. It will not make them want to be caring and loving towards you. It'll make them at best want to pull away and want to distance themselves and block you potentially. So we don't want to be the wounded animal. You want to express those feelings, but you want to express them with magnetic feminine communication, and then that draws them in. Because some people will see a wounded animal, and because the wounded animal is just licking its wounds and being vulnerable with I'm hurt and I'm here, and they get to see the animal like, oh my gosh, I want to help you, I want to pick you up, I want to take you to the vet, or I want to give you a kiss, I want to bandage it up. And like a kitten who got her paw hurt, you want to help the kitten. We got to fix this. Or a child that is not feeling well, or got sick, or stubbed their toe or something, and they're just crying. Like, that's a different form. That's where the parent just wants to help their child. But not if the child is like now hitting the parent, saying, no, you did this to me, you stepped on my toe, and I gotta punish you. I gotta punish you for this. That would be the childish nature that we talked about before, rather than the childlike nature. So these differences can draw someone in versus push them away. And it's just about how you express those same feelings and how you use that communication. All right, so let's see what other questions we have here about anything else we covered here. Janelle said, the guy loves the fact that I can sing. He said when he hears my voice, it makes him weak, and when he hears me sing, it soothes him. I've never heard a man enjoy my singing so much. Yeah, well, that's probably a sign that he's pretty connected to his masculine core. It reminds me of ancient times when warriors, I studied the biography of Alexander the Great, and oftentimes when the warriors would be done with battle or a long traveling adventure, they were traveling for days, and they finally arrived at the village that they were stationed at or came back, oftentimes there would be singing and dancing, usually by, of course, prostitutes, or let's say unseemly types. I know that's not the right word. So you get what I'm saying here. But basically, prostitutes or whatever would dance and sing. But the thing was, the spirits would be lifted within the tribe, within the army, because of that singing, because of the dancing, because of the feminine expression. It would give them hope again. It would allow them to see the reason why they were doing this, the reason why they were fighting all these battles and traveling thousands of miles. It was because of women. Oftentimes, men are doing these things because they care about women. They love women. They want women in their lives. They love the feminine energy. A lot of them would have, of course, women at home, women and children, and they're doing it for their children as well. But to be reminded of that, that would give them that sense of peace, that sense of there's a purpose behind this. I'm doing it for that. I'm doing it for their song. And so, killing him softly, so softly with my song. I didn't even sing that right. Killing him softly with his song, killing me softly. Okay, that was actually the other way around. That was the woman saying he's killing me softly. So men have a different song that they sing. The male song is masculine competence, really. A man taking care of things, taking care of his life, taking care of the world, taking care of his woman. That's a different song that fills a woman's heart up when a man is fully in his masculine capacity. But it's the same is true for men. Like, women will kill a man softly with her song as well when she's expressing her feminine heart. And that's what's happening, Janelle. And it's beautiful. That means you're in your feminine in that moment. He's in his healthy masculine. He's feeling honored and revered and appreciative of that song, especially if you're singing a song about him potentially, or how he makes you feel. I remember when me and my wife were visiting, we did a world trip in Thailand and Bali, and one of my favorite memories was when she was riding on the back of the motorbike that I was driving, and she would sing songs while we were driving around, and she would make up songs about me, which I thought was pretty cute and endearing. So she would say, like, the song was, oh, Brody, let me see what it was. He can do anything. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like, oh, Brody, he can do anything. He's our hero. He's our best friend. Something like, the Brody, the Schnooky, our best friend. Something like that. But it was like really cute and endearing. And I love that. And it was fun. And we kind of make fun of it still to this day. We'll bring it up sometimes. But that was just us goofing around. That was her goofing around. And it's like, not like she sings about me all day long and praises me and honors me and reveres me. Although I wouldn't mind that. But, in those moments when it comes up for you and it feels natural and you're really feeling that appreciation and that honoring towards him, like, let it out of your heart. Let him feel it, because it's going to light him up and it's going to make him remember all the reasons why he's doing what he does, which hopefully is taking care of you and the family and your unit, whatever that means. Songyak said, my friend is a classically trained singer. No way he's hearing me sing. It really doesn't matter how good you are, quote unquote, at the singing. It's more how much can you express your feminine song, your feminine energy through your voice. Remember, like Ariel, through the voice, that allows him to feel the longings of your heart and the depth of your feeling and the depth of your appreciation, your reverence, if that's relevant. That's what's important. And also, if you're trying to be too perfect, that's masculine energy. So part of embracing feminine energy is you don't have to be perfect. And the more you try to be perfect, the more you're actually going to be in control energy and leading energy and manipulation energy, potentially performance, rather than being authentic and vulnerable, because a man really wants your vulnerable openness and doesn't have to be perfect. But you don't have to sing in front of him if you still feel uncomfortable with that, of course. Maybe you just hum. Go ahead and hum in front of him, or dance whenever the feeling strikes you, whenever the mood strikes you. Or maybe there's a song playing while you're on a date and you just start singing along with the song, just subtly under your lips. That can be great for him too. That's just another way of you really connecting to that part of yourself, and it's beautiful. So Courtney said, married, how to keep this in practice when we own a business together. Working on ways and trying to allow him to lead, but sometimes it gets tough. Yeah, it can definitely get tough. Me and my wife work together, so we've had to master that ourselves. And the key with that is making sure you're using the principles we're teaching you here, because in that situation, you have to do it even more, because it's so easy to slip into just becoming colleagues or friends or roommates rather than lovers and hero and heroine and the knight in shining armor and the damsel in distress. So these are like examples of what polarity can be. There's different energies of polarity, that can exist. So you want to embrace those aspects and take it up a notch. So make sure that you're still asking him for help respectfully, making requests, sharing your feelings with him, asking permission in different ways, showing him that respect, not penetrating him energetically, not crossing his boundaries, pausing him to let him feel you, and sharing problems and issues that come up with him, but in the respectful way that we teach through feminine communication, which would be making it about yourself as far as your experience of the problem, being objective, sharing the stories that you're telling yourself about what's happening, which is then where you can share subjective truths that you might have. Like, I'm telling myself a story that we may be just treating each other as business partners, and maybe that thought made me feel sad and I don't know what to do. Could you help me with that? Or could I have some clarity around that? Or may I ask how you think about if you have any thoughts about that? So these are ways to share your thoughts and your feelings with him that draws him in, rather than simply complaining or putting it onto him that he's the one at fault, but you're simply sharing your experience and asking for help, essentially. So that's how you can put into practice in a business. And then, of course, clear boundaries, like avoid taking business into the bedroom, avoid being on your phone constantly, make space for you both to just connect and go on date nights where it's just about the two of you and not about the sales metrics or your next marketing strategy or managing a problematic team member. It's instead talking about your problems in the relationship, or more importantly, also sharing your appreciation and your feelings in your heart with him. That will maintain the polarity and make him come to you and want to continue to devote to you, regardless of what's going on in business. So you want to keep those boundaries in check. And we're definitely I'm happy to help coach you more on that, because it's I'm very familiar with that issue and with that problem. And there's many different other techniques I have to recommend to you, but I want to keep it relevant to everyone else here too. But that's what I'd recommend, some starts to get you on the right path with that, Courtney. And Bloom said, where's the line between codependency and naturally mirroring each other and meeting each other's needs in a relationship? That's a good question. So of course you don't want codependency. You also don't want to be completely independent, because then you're not going to have any real connection with a man. You're going to be the Miss Independent who don't need no man. And so men are going to feel not needed and they're not going to feel valued. And why would they want to stay with that unless they're an unhealthy man or they're a feminine man? If they're a broken man or a feminine man, they will be drawn to independent women typically. But a healthy man, he wants an interdependent relationship. And he does want some dependency. So I would say dependency is slightly different than codependency. So a man does enjoy having a woman, a healthy masculine man does enjoy having a woman, having people be dependent on him to some extent, because that makes him feel a sense of purpose, a sense of responsibility that feels good to his masculine core. Like, I have people who are relying on me. I have people who need me, and I don't want to let them down. I want to provide for them. I want to be the hero. I want to be the superhero for them. And I want to make them happy and safe and protected and give them all the desires of their heart that I can give them. So you may want to lean on the side of having some dependency, quote unquote, and these are just words, they're just terms. So you give him a space in your life, you give him some ability to provide for you. And the key with it, where it becomes not codependent, is you still want to keep and maintain your individuality and your self-value. So your relationship with yourself always needs to be very important and close to your heart, meaning self-care, meaning paying attention to your feelings and valuing your feelings, prioritizing your own feelings, speaking up and sharing your feelings when appropriate, and your needs and your problems and your desires, so that he can help you with those things. Because now you're becoming the queen, where you have gentleness and a grace and a feminine energy about you, and you're also speaking up and you're valuing yourself, and you have standards and you set boundaries with yourself when needed if a man isn't showing you care, and ultimately you're willing to walk away if you're in an unhealthy situation and it's continued to be unhealthy for too long. Well, you want to give it our 90-day challenge if a man isn't deeply broken, and give it a chance that he can really shift into a healthy masculine devotion to you, and you see what kind of man you're really dealing with. So hope that was helpful. And Kay said, thumbs up, everyone. Yes, thank you. Hit the like button. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. That's another form of feminine appreciation that I appreciate, or really any kind of appreciation. I guess men could also give that form of appreciation, but I appreciate it. It makes me know from my masculine, I'm doing a good job. I'm helping you, which is part of my purpose. I love doing this, and I love helping people who are here struggling, helping women to get to the next level in their relationship. So glad you're enjoying it. And Gazelle said, how do you spot a broken man? Well, I did a training about that a couple of days ago, and it's called, I believe the video is actually called How to Know If You're Dealing with a Broken Man. Let me see here. How to Know If You're Dealing with a Broken Man. Yeah, so it's a live stream I did a couple of days ago. So you can check that out as well. And I have an in-depth training on that, because there's a lot of keys that you want to look for, and there's a lot of signs that a man will give. And you want to pick them up, because you also want to avoid getting into an unsafe situation. And you need to do some things that will reveal to you if a man is broken or not, primarily magnetic feminine polarity and magnetic feminine communication. When you use what we teach you, and you're vulnerable and respectful, and you're sharing your feelings and your desires with a man, you need to detach from the outcome, but observe what he's doing. Observe how he treats you and how he handles your feelings and your emotions, assuming you're doing it the right way, the way we teach you how to share your feelings without making him feel criticized or blamed or like he's not good enough. And watch how he responds. You may need to do it over several occasions, and you're really looking to see if he shows care for your heart or if he doesn't show care for your heart. Because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters, is he showing that care, or is he not showing that care? And if he's not showing that care, you want to really use what we're teaching you here, assuming he's not being abusive towards you and not making you feel unsafe. But if you really care about this man, you want to give it a shot. You want to use everything we're teaching you here and do our 90-day challenge and see how he responds. And hopefully he's going to start shifting. Likely he's going to start shifting towards showing care for your heart. But it may take a little bit of time, because he's learning the steps. You're practicing. You're learning the steps of connecting to your feminine core, truly being in your feminine. But you're also giving him a chance to shift as well into his healthy masculine. And it may take a little bit of time, because he's learning the steps of the new dance. You're learning the steps. You're learning the new language. He's learning the new language, how to be in his healthy masculine, being the hero and providing for you. And so I wouldn't write him off right away, unless he's, of course, being abusive to you or putting you in really unsafe situations. Then that's something where you need to step away right away and know that he is likely a very broken man because of that, and you need to get out. You need to set a boundary with yourself, and you need to remove yourself from that situation, unless he ever comes and proves himself that he is not going to be that way with you, or he is making steps and making changes, and he's now a healthier man. But, typically that's not going to change for a while, because a man will need to do deep work if he is a broken man. If that comes to light that he is a deeply broken man, he needs to get help on his own. He needs to fix it. He needs to work with people like coaches and invest into himself and get support of other men, ideally, and that will help him to really heal. But most men are not broken. It is about 5 to 15%, I would say, roughly, are broken. The rest, some may be more feminine. They're disconnected from their masculine. They may have some issues, but they're not like broken. We all have issues. We all have traumas from our childhood. And so those men will respond the best to what we teach, and they will start responding over time to get in that positive cycle like we talked about before, the love and respect cycle, where he's going to start showing you more love and caring and devotion. You're going to start feeling and showing him more respect, and it will become unconditional love and unconditional respect. And sometimes you need to show a man unconditional respect first, for that activation within him to show you unconditional love. But sometimes men also do it first, and you'll naturally start responding to that. But one of you needs to shift. If nothing changes, and your relationship will just continue the way it's always been. And so that's where we're intervening and helping you to get on the right track for yourself, understanding these principles, so that you can then get on the right track with your relationship with your man, because he's going to start shifting as well, assuming he isn't a deeply broken man. Then you'll get into this positive aspect. You just need to give it a little bit of time and make sure you're using this correctly. And this really comes, I forgot to share this earlier, a lot of this actually comes from the Bible. And there's a really powerful verse in the Bible that says, and there's different translations of this, but basically, nevertheless, each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. So this is a command, really. You can see this as this is a command from God that men, you must love your women. And when I hear the word must, that means unconditionally. Like men, you must love your woman, and women, you must respect your man. If you do both, you get in this powerful upward spiral with a man, but it needs both energies. Now, the beautiful thing about it is it's a dance here, and which means only one person needs to shift in order for the relationship to move in that direction, ideally, assuming one person isn't broken, because there's also a lot of broken women out there as well. And even if a man, you've probably seen this as well, even if a man's very loving and devotional and unconditionally loving and devotional with his woman, some women still are disrespectful, and they will still attack their man and blame him and criticize him. And those are actually deeply broken women. So we also need to do, in a lot of this work that I do here with you, we need to make sure that you're not a deeply broken woman. And if you are, it's good that you're here, and we all have wounds. We want to make you even more healthy and healed and integrated and move past some of those old wounds and traumas so that you can become potentially unconditionally respectful with your man. And now you have a beautiful relationship forming. But a lot of it goes back to this root that will help you so much in your relationship, because now we're doing relationships the way your DNA is designed, and his DNA is designed, and really the way God intended it, which is this beautiful dance that comes between a healthy man and a healthy woman being in relationship with each other. That comes because of that. So I hope that's insightful as well. So we're going to wrap it up for today. Courtney did say thank you, very helpful. Probably need more coaching. And yes, if you want to take this to the next level, I highly recommend the first step with us to go into the deeper, more advanced trainings that we have and get personalized coaching support with this from me and potentially from my wife and other coaches that we have as well, like our coach, Kevin Anthony. You see some of his videos here. Take our free quiz you can get by clicking the link in the description or comments below. That'll get you started on this new, amazing, powerful journey that's awaiting you. A journey of 1,000 miles and 1,000 hearts and 1,000 love letters. Starts with one step, the first step, taking the quiz. Or you can go to our website, magnetizeyourman.com, and you can get that there, get your custom recommendations, and what would be the next best thing that we'll recommend for you to get the support you need and start improving your relationship and getting the strategies and the keys to unlock his heart towards you. And that's where it all starts. So hope this was helpful. Much love. Take care. And I will see you again on the next powerful training very soon. Bye-bye.